welcome to New and In Between, hosted by me, Mia Quinn Maddox, where I'll be discussing the hows and whys to my journey towards my faith. I've learned through my highs and lows that this path is not mine to travel alone. Join me mid-journey as I embrace my wins, losses, and everything in between. Hello, everyone, and welcome to New and In Between. This is season 2, and I have the pleasure of having my dear fashionista friend, extraordinaire, fabulous, Najah.
Hello, everyone.
Najah. Najah, please introduce yourself and share with the world how we know each other.
Yes, so hello. I'm so excited to be here. I have been friends with Mia now for, I want to say it's been at least a decade for sure. We first met when I was trying to really get into fashion styling and into the fashion world. And you were teaching a course.
Yep.
You were so fabulous and had done such amazing things in the fashion world. I was like, I have to take this class with Mia. And so I registered, I took some of your courses, and I was just like in awe of your work and just all the great knowledge that you had instilled in me. And I literally just kind of became like a mentee. And you took me under your wing, and the rest is history. Through that, we forged a great relationship and have been friends ever since.
Yep, that is true. I used to teach styling classes. I felt like when the market started getting, it's a little oversaturated now, but I felt like when people really started discovering styling and what the idea of what they had, because I had so many assistants, the idea that they had and what it really was, I was like, no, I need to teach this class because I want people to come into the industry knowing that this is not glitz and glam. This is, you better put on a sweatsuit and some sneakers and be able to pick up 60 pounds because
it's a grind.
Yeah.
It is a grind.
It's a lot of work. So yeah, I did. I used to teach classes and she was one of my students. This is so long ago. It seems like it wasn't that long ago, but
I know. It was. It's been a while.
It was.
And it's been a journey. It's been a journey for me. And, I learned a lot from you. I had a great experience just diving into that world. That was not, my bread and butter. I was doing that as something that I just wanted to do on the side. I've always been passionate about fashion. And even when I was going to school, I wanted to take fashion courses or do like fashion merchandising.
Hello. My girl came out for me, okay? Whenever she comes out, she's coming out. All right?
I try. Yeah, so, I didn't end up pursuing it as a career. My parents were like, no, you better do something that's going to guarantee you a job, and we're not paying for you to go to college to study fashion. It was their mentality at the time. And so it was always just a passion of mine. And so I just kind of started diving in, starting out with friends and family who encouraged me, just always asking me to shop with them or help style them for events. And the rest was history.
There we go. So you didn't go into the direction of styling. What did you end up doing?
So I did do that for a little bit. So I was working with more, my thing was everyday women. And so while many stylists are aspiring to become a celebrity stylist, like you said, I felt like that was very oversaturated. And because I did have a full-time career, I didn't see where that fit into my long-term plan. So I just wanted to work with everyday women who felt like they couldn't afford a stylist or just someone to help them to basically develop their sense of style, put look together, event styling. And so that was kind of my niche. And so I was doing that for a while, event styling, photo shoot styling, things that I could actually weave into my work schedule. And it was still, it was a grind, it was a hustle. And I felt as I started to become more immersed, and then I did have a few, somewhat high profile clientele. But even with that, it was just this tug of war. And I was elevating in my full-time career. And so it came down to making a decision of which direction do I want to go? If I want to continue this, then that means that I'm giving up everything else that I've worked so hard for. And am I truly passionate about this, to do this day in and day out? And so I kind of started to take a step back.
So now when you say your career, what career you in?
So I actually am in marketing and have been for the past 25 plus years.
And when we say like how long we've been doing something, it really, I'm like, wow. I've been in the entertainment industry for that long.
Yes.
That's a long time.
Yes, for a very long time. And so, I study advertising and public relations, marketing communications. And so I currently run a full service strategic marketing and design agency.
You're not saying that right. I run. She doesn't run. You run and...
And so I am a senior partner. So I'm one of the...
Because we don't big ourselves up enough. You are a senior partner.
Yes, I am a senior partner and CEO of an agency called Zedeca Group. Our headquarters is here in New York, but we are global. So half of my team is in New York and the other half is in Lisbon in Portugal, actually.
I just have a marketing firm that's in New York, the biggest city in the world, and then in Portugal, Lisbon, another big city. I just am this senior partner and CEO. Girl,
you know me.
Yes, I love for people to really I love to repeat it, because when you're in it,
yes,
you're humble, you're modest, but it's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is. I look at the journey that God has taken me on. I mean, it's things that I really couldn't have imagined even for myself, right? And when I started at Zedeca Group, although I didn't actually start the company, so we have two founding partners. One is from Italy, one is from the UK. When I came on board, I came on as a consultant. And up until that time, my trajectory was a little different from most of the people in this industry. Although I studied marketing and advertising and public relations, I had a background for 4 years in finance. So when I graduated college, it was post 9/11. So everything was on a hiring freeze, similar to, history repeating itself, what we're seeing happening now. And so I was fortunate enough to just land a job, right? It wasn't what I wanted to do, but I was studying to for my Series 6 and Series 7 and learning a lot about the finance world. And so I did that for a little while.
What's a Series 6 and Series 7?
So those are licenses. Those are licenses for anyone who wants to be a financial advisor.
Okay.
So you need those in order to actually be a broker or financial advisor. So I was working in mutual funds and investments. So I never went through with fully getting my license, but I had excelled pretty much in the company to where I wanted to. And then I knew that it wasn't for me. So I bounced around a little bit, but it all came full circle. So then when I moved back to New York from living in Providence, Rhode Island, where I went to school and was working in finance, I had this dream that I was just going to walk into one of these top agencies, New York agencies, and take the world by storm. And of course, it didn't happen like that. So I spent some time in management as well. And then when I started at the agency, like I said, as a consultant, that was when I really, really got my foot in the door to doing true core brand marketing outside of some internships and things that I had previously. And the rest, it kind of evolved from there. One of the founding partners was looking to retire, and she asked me to actually take over the company.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we see on these shows. What's the one I'll be watching? Suits and all these ones. It's real life. It happens to Black women.
Emily in Paris.
Yes.
Love that.
Right? So, I mean, it's amazing. And I like for people to hear that it's possible,
Yes, yes. This little Black girl from the Bronx.
You don't just have to work there. You could be the senior partner there,
yes,
okay?
Yes, you can own. And in different capacities.
Yeah. That's dope. That's dope. So we connect a lot on our faith. We're trying to plan our church tour because I watch all these fabulous churches, transformation, elevation, change, and you have your list of things. So we want to do this church tour. So we connect on our faith.
Yes.
But you grew up in a Christian and Muslim household.
Yes.
Please share that with me, because we don't really, I know, and I can speak for myself. You just don't think about it.
Yes.
And you don't think about what's that like. So please share with us. What is that like?
I know.
What was that like?
As a child, it was very confusing, to be honest, but you don't know what you don't know, right? So when I was younger, my dad was Muslim. So he was part of the fruit of Islam. So in the beginning stages of when Islam really started to grow. My father was much older than my mom. So, very kind of militant and instills in us, all of the principles of Islam. And my mom actually was originally Catholic. I know, go figure. And so when she met my dad, she converted to Islam for a couple of years and, started following the religion. So went to Juma, went to mosque, did all the things, read the Quran, learned, all of these things. But then my mom and dad split. And so during that time, my mom started going to church, to regular Baptist church, which, my godmother was a huge influence as well on me and on that. And you've met my godmother, has always been a devout Christian. And so when my mother started to go into Baptist church, I was still young enough, but she never really forced religion. And so, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I would love for you to come, but, she kind of gave us the option, which I know most parents don't do. But I automatically took to Christianity. Like I was on the youth choir. I loved going to church. The word just always resonated with me. And like my oldest sister and I were so different. Like she hated going to church, always felt like she had a deep, connection with God, but just really didn't subscribe to like going to church. And we're 4 years apart. So she was 4 years older. And again, my mother really didn't force it. It was kind of, you have to discover God and this journey for yourself. And so, once I got baptized, the rest was history. But I always, still had, some things like key principles that I've learned from growing up in an Islamic household as well as Christianity. And I carry both of them with me.
How did your father feel about you choosing Christianity?
It was one of those things that, and God bless his soul, both my parents, unfortunately are deceased, but, he, of course, wasn't happy. I'll just put it, he really wasn't happy with it, but we never really got too much into it. He would do things that he would try to like sway me back over into Islam, like buy books. Like he would always buy me books and send me books to read. He would just kind of try to point out like differences in both religions and why he felt that, Islam was the right choice. But again, he respected my wishes, especially as I got older.
Yeah.
And he knew, once my mom and dad split, the majority of my time was spent with my mother. So it was what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the whole ultimate point is to follow God. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And that was my mother's thing, is like, as long as you follow God and are a good person and do, right in the world. I don't care what religion you decide to practice.
Yeah. And I mean, that's really what it boils down to. I definitely feel like you have to be drawn.
Yes.
You can't be forced. I mean, my mother didn't force us. We went. She did make us go with her sometimes. It just didn't connect to me.
Yes, yeah.
What the pastor was talking about wasn't,
Yes.
It didn't relate to my 16-year-old life or my 17-year-old life. He's talking about bills and this and that. I'm like, I don't have no bills. Like I'm chasing this boy and my heart is hurting. Like, it's
you got to go through some things.
Yeah,
you have to go through some things sometimes.
Yes.
The foundation is there. So it's still, the foundation was laid. You couldn't relate. It didn't resonate. But as life started to happen, then you were able to lean back into your faith.
The concrete started breaking when the vine started coming up. And then it's like, okay, life happens and it breaks a little bit and it breaks a little bit more until you just got an old pebbly ground. If that's the path you go, I went on the pebbly ground until you figure that out. And then I sifted all the pebbles and the rocks out. And now I think I'm on a good path.
Yes.
A good path.
Yeah. And it's a journey of self-discovery, a journey of your relationship with God. And I felt like there were things that happened to me or in my life that drew me closer and closer to God throughout the course of my journey. And I'm still on that journey. There are moments that happen where you question, God. I think definitely for me, like when my mom passed away, that was one of the moments where, I really questioned God and, started thinking like, why me? Why my mother? Why so soon? I felt like I was still young. Like my mother was only 60 when she passed. And she passed
suddenly.
She passed suddenly. I was there when it happened. And it was a very traumatic experience.
Yeah, I tell people, I just got to chill. I tell people, because, I lost my father. I really don't talk to people about my experience unless they have lost a parent.
Yes.
Because you don't really understand that type of loss.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you have a great relationship with your parent or you have an estranged relationship. When your parent dies, a piece of you dies.
Yes.
And if you can't really ever, like people who have both parents can't relate to that feeling of grief. It's a kind of grief that, it's an undescribable grief.
Yes,
that never goes away.
Absolutely.
It comes in spurts. You will get it in as much as you can handle.
Yeah.
But it makes me appreciate my mom. Like, okay, I know she's going to go. So let me, everything that I didn't get to do with my dad or pour into my dad because of whatever reasons, resentment and bitterness and unforgiveness. I'm like, okay, I had to do everything on his deathbed.
Yes.
It didn't matter at the time.
Yes.
So with my mom, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this different so that when she goes, yes, I will be sad, but I won't have regrets.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and that's so important. I mean, like you said, people who haven't experienced it, like you can sympathize, but you can't really empathize. And it's a pain that I don't wish on anyone. Like you said, no matter what your relationship is with your parent, and it may be even worse if you don't have a great relationship, you know, with your parent, because then you carry guilt. I think, you know, again, going back to like experience and just my interaction with like God and how I felt God was able to speak to me and help me to make peace, especially with my mom's passing, was, you know, I realized that selfishly, we always want our parents to be here forever. And my mom had gotten really sick, although it wasn't a terminal illness. My mother suffered from MS. And due to that, you know, there was like a series of just like other things with her health that started to decline. Which ultimately was part of what caused her demise. But, you know, when she got sick, it was a different quality of life for her. Like my mom was always just like traveling. My mother was in the Air Force. She had traveled the world and she couldn't do much of anything. She was pretty much at that point wheelchair bound. And there were times that I heard her, you know, praying to God like she was tired and she, you know, like, I don't want to live like this. And so I feel like God answered her prayers, although I would want her to be here, but ultimately, like, that is his child. And, you know, if she felt that she was ready to go, I had to learn to make peace with it.
I mean, like, grieving is a process, I say all the time. So when you go through your process of grieving, like for me, not that I don't think about, or he's not ever something that crosses my mind, but I could go maybe days or weeks and be fine. And then it could be one little thing and then I fall apart.
Yes. Yeah. It's like you said, it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like there are days, like you said, I will just not even think about it, to be quite honest. And then it's always like something that comes up, whether it's a holiday. Of course, we got to get through Mother's Day and Father's Day and just the Christmas holidays and Thanksgiving and all the memories and the moments that remind you of that person. And it sometimes it's just simple things too. Like I still have things that my mom bought me and I stumble across. I'm like, oh, you know, my mom bought this for me. You know, I will never let them go for that reason. Like I had to. Exactly.
This reminds me of my mother and I want to keep it.
Yes. And like my sister has my mom's dog. And although he's up there in age, it's like that's a little piece of her. And so like every day I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just need him to hang on a little longer, just hang on a little longer for my sister's sake, because also that's kind of like her baby now. Yeah. And it's the like kind of a last little piece that we both have, you know, living and breathing thing of my mom. So yeah, I know that when that day comes, that's also going to be
it's a process. I mean, but we know it's, no matter how much you know it's coming, when it comes, you'll never be. It's like when people who have kids, everyone's like, oh, I'm preparing. And they say, when you have a kid, you...
Yes.
And you don't, you can prepare until you think you prepared, but you never really prepared.
Absolutely. Never. You just don't know. You don't know until, you know, you say all the things. And I remember like I've had other friends, unfortunately, that went through it before me. And it was always that fear, like, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine, you know, what I would do. And you just don't know how strong you are, like they say, until being strong is your only option. And, you know, our parents would want us to continue to live. They say life is for the living. And so I think that it gives you a newfound perspective, as you were saying earlier, just on life and just all the things that you want to do, you know, with that time that we have.
Yep, that we have left. Because for me, it just made me say, all right, it makes me be more forgiving. Because if I could forgive my father for some things that I thought I would never, ever forget. I also thought, in my mind, I just thought he would never go.
Yeah.
So you hold on to all these things thinking that he's going to be the person that you wanted him to be your whole life.
Yes.
And then it's like, he's not. And then you have to forgive him for everything because he's about to go. It's either you forgive him and you let it go wholeheartedly.
Yes.
Or you leave here and you hold on to that for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
I didn't want that.
Yes. And that's great that you had the opportunity to do that. Yeah.
Because God knows that if I didn't, I probably would. It would have taken me down a rabbit hole that he knew I wouldn't be able to handle. So he knew I was going to be able to handle saying a goodbye and releasing him from everything that I held on to. And then after that happened, I was like, I done held on to all this stuff. I missed out on all these things. And at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter.
No, exactly.
Like, it don't even matter.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So it kind of makes me just be more forgiving of like, okay, all right. okay, I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah.
All right. All right. My mother is not, because you have this painting
Yes.
of who you want your parents
Absolutely.
to be. And then you realize that it's never going to be that. And if
Yeah.
you just accept your parents for who they are, you'll have great
Yes.
relationships, whether it be good or bad, because they're people first.
Yes. And giving them grace.
That part.
Like we have to learn to give each other grace, our parents included, because they've gone through some things in their life as well and did the best that they could with what they had, right?
Yeah.
And so, once we get older and we learn, like there were things as well, like, even when my parents separated or just the dynamics of their relationship in general that I couldn't understand when I was younger. But as I got older, and of course, as life happened to me and then,
like,
relationships and everything else, exactly. It's like, I get it. I still talk to my mom sometimes and I'm, I have epiphanies and I'm like,
you're like,
that's what you were trying to, yeah.
Now I understand why you did that. Or,
yes.
All right.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I have those moments with my mother too, because she's opening up a little bit more, but I'm like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. Now that because when she says, it's like she'll say one thing and it's like all the puzzle pieces just start moving by themselves. And now it's a picture. And I'm like,
yes.
Why didn't she say that 29 years ago?
Right. Exactly.
Because then it just all made sense.
But you wasn't ready. Maybe you weren't ready.
That is right. I would have understood it at that point. It still would have just been a mess of a puzzle. So,
yes. Yeah.
I mean, we don't think about it. Losing parents because we don't want to lose our parents, but when we do, I tell everyone, forgive your parents.
Yes, absolutely.
Forgive them, and there's no book to being a parent. Forgive your parents. Just forgive them because you'll feel so much better later on.
Yeah, and for those, I don't have any children biologically. I do have 4 godchildren that I love and adore that are just like mine. But you start seeing that you really, really understand the things that your parents were saying and doing because you start to repeat a lot of them. And I see them with my friends and their children. And sometimes the ones that I've known since we were very, very young and had, great relationships as well with their parents. And so I'm able to say like, I remember when, and now that you're seeing this, as they say, I remind them all the time, they say sometimes you get back 2 times fold what you gave out to your parents. And so when their kids are giving them, exactly, a hard time, I'm like, ooh, wait. Because I remember when, so,
Yeah, my nephew's not even mine. And I'm like, ooh, I remember when I acted like that.
Yes.
Like,
you start seeing it.
Yeah.
And you're like, now I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm like, ooh, I understand why my mother wanted to choke me to the ground.
Right.
Because if my nephew wasn't as big as he is, we can't choke him to the ground because he's 6'4" and you just can't hit kids anymore.
Yes.
You get cancer.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Things. But, now I'm like, ooh, and I understand now why.
Yes.
I traumatized my mother.
Right.
Sure.
I say that too. I'm talking to her and I'm always apologizing. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, mommy.
I'm like, oh.
Yes.
But then I'm also in learning my mother and learning my aunt and, just learning other things about our grandmother. I'm like, girl, you traumatized your mother too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like
sure
we all,
exactly. We
every child goes through.
A little bit more. Like, okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit more.
I was definitely the one. It's like, I'm gonna keep trying. Let me see how far she's gonna let me go.
All the waters. Okay, I left all the waters boiling hot.
Now, who was worse, you or Lauren?
Me.
Oh, really?
What? First of all, because I had so much anger and resentment in me that I didn't know was coming from my parents' divorce. And then I was my father's favorite. My sister was my mom's favorite. And then now I get taken out of my household in my Colorado and I'm putting into this place called New York City. And I'm like, I got to stay here and I got to go to school with these kids that are crazy. And, it was just so different. And then, I've always been a super independent person. I've always, I've just always just led myself. I've also learned from just watching my mom and my grandmother. I've always just been one of those kind of kids who just led out. I thought I was older than, more mature.
Yes,
you can't tell me nothing. Stubborn, full of attitude. My mother was the principal. Is like, why is she telling me I can't do this? Why am she I don't do that.
Yes.
But then,
the know-it-all.
Yeah. I watch it in my nephew.
Yeah.
And then, but it's different now because I'm able to explain to him from a standpoint of me. Like, dude, I get it. But this is da-da-da-da. Or this is this and this and this. And then, it I don't know if it's translating fully, but at least I'm able to like relate better because I know I could see me in him.
Yeah.
Like the
and you have a good enough relationship. And although you're older, he's still, it's not coming from his parents. So like there's a
you think your parents are wrong no matter what. No matter how right they are, they're wrong.
Well, that's why you need a village. It takes a village.
Exactly. Because your parents are the ones who take care of you, pay for everything, do everything for you, but they are wrong.
All the time.
They don't know how to parent me.
Exactly. They don't listen to me. They don't know how to parent me.
Exactly.
They don't understand me.
Parent me.
Yeah.
I know. So you just you not recently, but you recently got married.
Yes.
Right. And I remember us sitting in a beer garden in Brooklyn.
Oh my God.
And you talking about like this is it. Like we went to school together, and I remember it plays back in my mind. I'm like, and then married. So please tell me how is wife life? And what advice can you give to women like myself who aren't married, who are older? Well, I'm not saying older because no one's to say what age you're supposed to get married or not.
Absolutely.
I feel like if I got married in my 20s, I would have been divorced. If I got married in my 30s, I probably would have been divorced and murdered. So I feel like now in my 40s, I have a different understanding of love, a different understanding of marriage. I know that my heart's desires are coming from God, so it's different.
Yes.
So can you tell us first about just going from single to wife? Because that did happen quickly. You didn't date someone for 10 years, 15 years, and then,
not again.
We've all done that, waiting.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
And then just tell us about transitioning from single to wife, and then what advice you could give just to women. And I say in our age group because a lot of the times we think, oh, I'm 40, I'm never gonna get married. Oh, it's just too late for me, or there's all the things that we think. So please share with us some advice.
Sure. So, happily married now the time is flying. So it will be almost 4 years. Now I was a pandemic bride. That's a story for another day. But I think for me, it was just coming out of a very long-term relationship with someone that I had been with for over 10 years. And my husband and I, we had been friends for a long time. We did go to college together, never dated, just always just kind of stayed in contact because we had a lot of mutual friends and just things that we were involved in that we would just continuously cross paths. And then when the time was right, he was single, I was single, we reconnected just as like old friends at first. And then it was like, I always still had like a little crush on him. Which I did from college. He is a few years ahead of me. So in college, I will say I don't think that he looked at me in that light. Like, oh, okay, this little...
She's cute.
Yeah, when I met him, I was like a freshman. He was like a junior transfer student.
Cute, but...
Yeah, he wasn't really paying me much mind. But again, through the years, we, have had grown to become friends. And so, timing is everything, right? And so I think for me, when we met, I was at a stage in my life where having gone through bad relationships and having been in a long-term committed relationship that didn't work out, I had prayed on it and said, listen, God, I'm just going to really make space for the next person to be my husband. And I knew it was something that I wanted. I definitely wanted to be married and have a solid family foundation. And going back to just my upbringing, seeing what happened between my mom and my dad, I always knew that would be something that I would want, especially if I decided to have children. And so when we first got together and decided to really, make it a relationship, we talked a lot about those things from the beginning. And I was very intentional about, the time commitment and not to really, I wasn't giving him an ultimatum.
But when you mean intentional, you were this is what I want. This is what this is the end goal that I want from.
Yes. And just saying, do you want these things? We both getting older at this point. We were well into our 30s, past mid 30s. And, I was just very honest and upfront, I want to be married. And, hopefully if things start to really progress with you and I, that it could be you and I. Only time will tell. But I'm not interested in being a long-term girlfriend again. So if in 2 years, roughly a year and a half, you're still unsure, because I feel at a certain age, you know when you know. Exactly. So let's just not waste each other's time. Let's just not waste each other's time.
Some men say, when they're ready, they're ready.
Yes.
You can't force. You can't ultimatum. You can't push them up against the wall when a man. But this is why would you want to be forced into a situation when a man is ready? He's ready.
Yes, and I feel like you have to just have some understanding and align on like, do we even just want the same things from the beginning? Because I'm not interested in also trying to like force you to
Convince
want
you.
that first, because I think that's a harder battle. And I see so many friends and people that I've known that have been in relationships with someone else, and it's like from the beginning it's like, well, I'm not into that, or
I'm
I
not
don't
really
want
into
this.
relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to be a friend.
Yeah, I don't believe in marriage. I don't want this, or and I think that then right there they're telling you from the beginning that.
But what we do is we go, I can make him love me into marriage, and then you in it 5 years, 10 years,
exactly,
and
exactly.
then you're like, what's going on?
Yes,
and then it ends bad.
Yes.
Or he leaves you for someone else and marries someone in 2 days because they asked for what they wanted.
Right, and that's so I say that's my first advice, and not to scare the man off. Like you don't want to go into just early on in dating and just start constantly talking about marriage, but I think that it's important to be honest and lay your cards on the table of, where you see yourself in the future, as you're talking about every and anything. It should be a conversation that you should feel comfortable being able to have
saying like,
at a certain point. Yeah,
I
exactly.
want to be married. So my end goal for any relationship, like for anything that I'm going into, is to be married. So if you don't believe in marriage, then that's when I have to walk away.
Yeah, and if you're not even open-minded to the idea, like if you're just like really gung-ho, like, no, I never see myself getting married.
Not taking half of what I got.
Yeah, for whatever reason, and a lot of, generationally, right? Like a lot of us grew up in broken homes. And so there's a lot of trauma that is there for a lot of people our age and their beliefs and opinions. And then what you see every day, right? Like, and marriage is not easy. So, once you do get into the marriage, it's like, how do you continue to build and grow? And stay, committed to each other, loving each other through the ups and downs. If challenges come, how do you work through those? What are your deal breakers? Like, I think we also discussed those very early on. What are some of those deal breakers? And we both have a solid belief, like his parents have been married all his life. And so, divorce for us is like not an option. Like, there's only maybe 2 or 3 things that are like absolute deal breakers that I was like, okay, this would be grounds for divorce. Other than that, I think you have to go in it with the intention that if I am committing to you, then I'm committed to this marriage. Yeah. I just think for any relationship, like I'm always rooting, especially for Black love. Like you want it to be successful.
That show Black Love is my show.
Yeah.
It's just real couples who talk about real. Because we think marriage is supposed to be just roses and bubble baths and bliss and floating on clouds. And it's like, girl, no. This gets hard.
You're going to go through some things. You're going to go through some things. But again, I think communication is key and how you're able to communicate. I was very big on that as well, too. One of the things I said, we can have difficult conversations as needed. I want you to feel that you can say anything, even the things that you may feel are too complicated or difficult. That's the only way that we'll be able to work through certain things and, respecting each other's space and boundaries. I think that's big for us. Like, he's a Virgo, I'm a Scorpio. We both like our space from time to time. And so, I had to learn how to adapt to that as well and vice versa.
So when he wants to be alone, then you choose to be alone so that
because sometimes he's cranky. I don't know, Virgos be Virgoing. I'm like, oh, you okay?
That's when you be like, okay.
And I love them. I have some close friends that are Virgos too, so no bash on the Virgos. My mom was a Virgo. His whole family is Virgo. He comes from a family
Virgos
of Virgos.
Are when you know them, you know them.
Yes.
Know, but my thing with knowing anyone is like, you got to know when to give people their space, back away. I want to be a cuddly cat all underneath you every day, 24/7.
I'm a little bit of both.
But that's why I say like a cat, because like my cats come to me when they want to cuddle. But then they could be in the room for 24 hours. I won't even see them. I like that. I don't mind that. So that's why I keep saying I want to be a cuddly cat.
Yes. I'm the same. And so, just recognizing those things and, outside of marriage, just when you get into a long-term committed relationship, if you choose to, live together. Some people are opposed to that before marriage, but whatever's your preference, just cohabitating in itself. Like there are things that it's not necessarily the marriage or the person. It's just like all the things combined, and cohabitating is one of them. Like,
so do you think that's a challenge? Like learning how to,
yes.
Did you guys live together prior to?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah. And, there were things that I saw, but I think when you're still kind of new in the relationship, everyone's on their best behavior, right? So it's like you're trying your best to, do all the things and everything right. And then slowly over time, of course, you get comfortable, right?
Yeah.
But just, being able to work through, things that you want and how you want things a certain way within the household.
Did you guys have all
Expectations.
these conversations prior to getting married?
Some of them. And I think we had expectation conversation. Like, I don't like to cook, but thankfully, like my husband, he
is a chef. Listen, God will give you what you need.
Absolutely. But, even that, he's further removed now from the kitchen because he also like does food service management, nutrition. So he's not really like cooking. And so he's like, but I don't want to cook at home every day either. But I was honest about the fact that I can cook, but I don't really enjoy cooking every day. And so like us just kind of establishing like, okay, well, how do we work through this and come to some form of agreement?
Realistic agreement.
Yes, exactly. Like, okay, we'll break down and we'll have days, right? So, if your days are Sunday and Monday, and generally we work out like a little schedule, and I'm like, okay, well, things that you prepare. And I also don't really like leftovers. I can only eat it maybe once, twice, max, depending on what it is.
I don't like leftovers. I can eat it one day.
Yes.
And then I don't want it.
I know. Me either.
I just don't want it. I don't care. They say, oh, it gets better with time.
I know.
No,
I know.
I don't want it. I
it's
just
hard.
don't like leftovers.
Hard. Yeah.
And I grew up in a household with a grandmother who she cooked 3 dinners. She cooked dinner for my grandfather because he liked his southern stuff. And she would cook. And if we ain't like it, she say, what you want? And she's cooking 3 dinners.
Yeah.
So we.
Yes, exactly. Like I didn't have that, but my mother kind of like gave us choices as well for the most part. And some things it's like, it was what it was. But I think that.
As an adult, I chose not to eat leftovers.
As an adult. Yeah, exactly.
I didn't have a choice.
Yes.
She made spaghetti, we ate spaghetti all week.
For sure. Until it was gone. Until it was gone. Or if I didn't want that, I just made me a bowl of cereal or something.
That part. Or peanut butter and jelly or something.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, as an adult, and I think it's just, also that time that I spent apart and being single, you start to come into your own and the things that you want. And it was easy when you're just like, you just have to only yourself to think about. And so if I didn't want to cook, I didn't have to cook. I would go out to eat. I can order something to eat, and I really didn't like eat leftovers because it was just me. And I would make sure that I plan my meals accordingly for just one person. And so I think getting out of some of those habits as well, once you start, being with someone and again, cohabitating and trying to establish, how do we compromise, and it's give and take. So my advice is just to, be open-minded and understanding and listen to each other.
What do you think the best part of marriage is?
The best,
like if you was to say like this one thing that happens or that we do, like this is the best part of like, this is what makes me be like, I'm so happy that I'm married.
Oh, I would say sometimes hearing the stories about, the dating world, sometimes like I feel like, I can completely be myself with someone that I know, has vowed to just love me through good and bad and indifferent, right? So that comfortability, that feeling of safety, the companionship, coming home to someone or just having someone to just share, everything with is truly the best part of marriage. Having, a built-in friendship, forever friend, a best friend that's always there to listen to everything. The companionship and again, like, the way that the world is evolving now, I know that it's not easy. It's not easy for any of my single friends.
Series, a pilot, and 5 episodes to a series that hopefully once is gonna single black ...
Yeah.
Look out for that. I don't know when, but it will be out.
Yes.
And it's just me and my. I said I'm not date. I'm right now. I'm dating for it's research and development because some of the dates that I'm like, this can't be happening.
I know.
I'm like, God is giving me some content. I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to stay on this horrible date to the end. And I might go on another one because
and then I have a story to tell.
Content. So I'm going to take this terrible date.
What's the name? She just got wealthy. What's the lady that...
Oh, the one who did I marry?
Yes, exactly.
98 parts of who did I marry?
Exactly.
Girl, your intuition told you that man was all those things. And we don't follow it because every man that I've ever met, I've gotten a the Call of Duty, get out of here.
Yes.
And within weeks, and I've ignored it, and then I got dragged.
Yes. I know that was crazy. I didn't even finish it, to be quite honest.
I didn't finish it
I'm gonna wait
either.
for the movie to come out,
Yeah,
or
because
whatever
I'm
it's
just
gonna
like,
be. But
you and 29 million people are just like that because we don't vet.
Yes,
We're not intentional when we date. And I'm guilty of all these things. Hence why I can say it. Not being intentional when I date, turning red flags green.
Yes, I heard you say that.
Not loving myself enough to be able to show someone how to love me.
Yes, and sometimes it's just the longingness. Like I've had friends that have, and myself, I think my last relationship, I stayed longer than I should have because of the fear of starting over and the fear of just being alone.
Me. And accepting the bad behavior and accepting the bad behavior out of those fears of, it's like, girl, I'd rather be alone than be dragged through this swamp. This man is dragging me. Like, why? He's never going. Do you want this to be your life?
Exactly.
This is what I started saying. It's like when you have these aha moments of, wow, I really didn't love myself. There's no way in the world that I love myself.
Like, how did I allow this?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
How? Because I know me, and I'm like, how you talking about? I'm like, girl.
Yes.
But what I didn't, I know I won't go back.
Right.
I know that it's like they say that mess, when you come through the mess, it gives the greatest story.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I'm clean now.
And even now to this day, I mean, I love my husband truly and dearly, but I tell him, like, I love you, but not more than myself. Like, and I say that wholeheartedly and not in a bad way. Exactly.
If I don't love me all the way, I can't love you all the way.
Exactly.
I got to be full of love for myself in order to pour in love to you. And you have to be full of love for yourself to pour into me so that we're not depleting each other of the one thing that we're supposed to be giving to each other.
And the love of God, like really and truly, that is what sustains me. And so not seeking him for my happiness, right? Like he only adds to the happiness that already exists within me.
So that is the other thing too. We be on this life tour of finding love.
Yeah.
And looking
for someone to complete me, but you should be a whole,
or to, just all the things.
Yeah.
All the things.
Yes.
And then you'd be like, oh gosh, I'm tired.
Yeah, but that's a setup for disappointment. That's why I think we have to just change. It's a mindset shift. And it's definitely a journey first of self-discovery and all the things that you need to have already before you can give it to somebody else.
Because even now I think to myself, like 5 years ago, would I have been able to be a wife? No. 10 years ago, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Just my mind just, no.
Yes.
Absolutely not. Now, I'm going to give somebody the best years of their life.
Yeah.
And because I know that, and I used to say to myself, I'm going to do so much work on myself. I'm going to become the person that is, whoever gets me after next is you get a prize. And if you know, that's it.
Yes.
I've done so much work on myself that you're getting a prize. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get the prize, I'm still a prize.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's it. And I really got to tell myself that sometimes, you get older, and as I'm getting older, the prospects are getting fewer. They come in with more trauma, more damage. Yes. Do I really want to deal with that? No. It's just so many things. And I just kind of stopped thinking about it.
Now, do you want to be married?
Yeah, girl, yes. I need to be somebody's wife. I'm a caretaker.
And I ask that too because some people really are like, I'm content with not.
I used to say that because it's what sounded good when you're older and you're not married. And it's like you don't want to seem like damaged goods. I'm not damaged goods. I'm going to give someone the best years of their life because I'm at peace with myself. Mm-hmm. I'm in a good place with myself. So I don't have no baggage. My bags are all empty.
You've done the work.
Ready. Yeah, they're ready to fill with good times. That's why I know.
Love that.
Yeah, it's like we all got bags, but mine's are all unpacked.
Yes, love that.
That's sorted. Right. Yeah, I'm like, so I'm not going into anything like that. But I do. I feel like I'm a caretaker. I've been the only girl with the boys for forever.
Yeah.
I know how to take. Listen, the hardest part is like I've done it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I've done the hard parts of dealing with people in their moods and still having to be in their face when they mad or it's just. All that I know, okay?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
And if I'm not even saying if I'm not. When it happens,
yes.
Exactly. It's going to be great. Yes. But until then, I'm going to enjoy sleeping in my bed by myself,
Nope.
only worrying
Yes.
about food for me, because I could drink a cup of hot
Exactly.
tea at night, girl,
Exactly. You don't
and
have
go
to
to bed
worry
hungry. I don't got to worry about taking care of my
what
husband.
I'm just talking
and
about.
making sure- 'cause
Exactly.
you can't just give him tea.
No.
Okay.
He'll be looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yes, you be looking at you like you crazy.
Yes.
But when you by
But
yourself,
sometimes I do say it's a fend for yourself type of night.
but you let him know. At least
Exactly.
you're letting him know in advance. See, me, I
Yeah.
go home if I'm starving and I know I'm tired and it's late.
Yes.
I would drink a cup of hot water.
Yeah. And the thing
And
is,
go to sleep, and I be so tired.
Yes, that's
that
it.
It's like it's just the hot water is really just to settle the
To
grumbling
soothe you. Yeah.
enough so that I can get in this bed and knock out.
Yeah.
Can't do that when
No,
all the
yeah.
things that I like, there's so many things that we don't think about when you're single that are like, until I hear my friends who are in relationships,
Yes,
and I'm like,
there's pros and
girl.
cons on both sides.
Yeah,
Like,
but I'm gonna enjoy all the pros right now,
Mhm.
because this time is gonna expire, and then I don't want to be like, oh gosh,
I know.
I'm just gonna enjoy this time until it ends.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah. But he's coming.
Listen,
He's
okay,
coming.
Hello. Okay, hello. But it's great. I mean, I asked the question because as I am getting older, like I have friends who are married, I have friends who are now getting divorced.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh, why you don't want to be? Well, you don't want to be married." It's not that I don't want to be. I'm just not marrying anybody. I could have been married. I mean, I've been engaged before.
Yeah, and as a culture, we just have to stop projecting. Like, I don't like when people just project just based off of your experiences.
Or your
like,
age.
Or you say like, oh, I'm not married. Girl, don't do it. Or I don't have kids.
No,
girl, don't do it.
You shouldn't have did
yeah,
it.
exactly,
Okay?
exactly.
You not did
yes,
it.
like, everyone has to go through their own experiences in life. And I hate to be the person to be like, oh, good, bad, or indifferent, or the other way. Like, I'm not forcing marriage on anyone as well.
I
think that
marriage.
Yes, I'm in a happy marriage. Again, it's work. We work at it constantly. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. And I think that that's also just, like you said, the misconception that it's always going to be like, peaches and roses and everything else. But it's all about what you make of it. Like anything else that you do in this life, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, right?
Mm-hmm.
From graduating college, working in different areas of, just different areas, and then now you're in your career.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
That's a good question. And sometimes it's hard for me to even think on what's next because I'm just so in the weeds of like everything that I have going on right now. But, I do have aspirations of other things that I want to do. I've been talking and kind of like mapping out this idea of like this documentary that I would really, really love to do. So I'm like still doing the groundwork on that. But, part of it, and I'll just kind of share just a little bit, I think is just like my journey and just the journey of things that we're talking about, just, being in business and what that looks like and the journey of, entrepreneurship, but from a different lens. And I think now we're in this this space where you hear so many people wanting to go on this entrepreneurial journey and, you see it glorified in some things. And I think that I've had a lot of experience from a multitude of different perspectives to share, with the world. And so what that looks like, and also highlighting other people that have been on their journey in their respective fields. So that's kind of like one of the things that's like on my
That's dope. And
list
I feel like
of
that's
things.
important because everything is instant.
Yeah.
You open your business and you have millions of dollars, and then and I'm happy for those people because I'm like, wow, that ultimately the goal is to grow your money, grow your business.
Yeah.
And those are all the things
Yeah,
that
your net worth and generational
but that doesn't
wealth and
work
everything.
for everyone.
No, exactly.
You will fail. Things will not work.
Yes.
You will have to start over.
Yes.
You might have to start over 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And I think that's watching someone who has reached the level that you have will be able to see like, oh, okay, she didn't just wake up and go to the top. Like she dug through some of them trenches and she went through some hard times, and just how you feel and how you process, just those things to get, just to get to where you are now.
Yes.
I think that's dope, and I think it's really important.
Yeah, so that's a big thing. And then, I've been kind of exploring some other passions, like something in fashion again, but not the styling part of it.
Listen, I couldn't do it either.
Mama
don't got it in her no more.
I mean, you do it for television and film.
No, I sure don't. I just listen.
You just dress.
I'm a project manager. That's what I am. I took all my life's experience, and I just manage.
But that pivot has been amazing too. Yeah, girl, I'm so proud of you.
sometimes I'm like, ooh, how did I get here?
Yes.
And I got to really think about it, but
Yes.
it is.
But to still be in that field, like just in a different realm. But
no, television wardrobe is like, I'm not going to say that, because when I worked on Harlem, Harlem was a fabulous show.
Yes.
The fashions on Harlem was amazing.
Yeah.
The costume designer, amazing. Like, she had an eye for
style,
some key
like
pieces.
okay.
The show I work on now is a
Yeah.
procedural FBI Most Wanted. The costume designer, he puts the flair, as much flair as
but
he
it's
can.
a different. It's
and
a
I mean,
different
it's
type
flary.
of,
He puts as much flair as he can, but it's just not like, there's not Louboutins
Yes,
and
of course, yeah.
Tom,
The stuff that we like.
We do have Tom Ford coming
Yes.
through, but it's just not a fashion show. But it still is
not as exciting and glamorous.
Maintaining
Yes,
and all,
yes.
just maintaining and making, all that good stuff. So it's still the realm. It's just not the fancy realm. I'll be back in the fancy realm because I get to get dressed here. I get to have my friends come dressed up and inspire me. I'm like, yes, girl, to the silver shoes and leather pants. And I love this jacket.
Yes.
I'm like, I knew you were going to come. I said, I'm not telling her nothing. She told me she's going to come comfortable. I said,
I was trying to match your energy, But...
You are fabulous. Fabulous. But let's not leave out all the community service you do, all the philanthropy.
Yes, philanthropy.
Yes. I just went to a gala for you a few months ago. Like, let's talk about that.
Yes, always a huge advocate of giving back to the community and pouring into people who look like you and I, for sure, and wanting to reach back to help whoever I can. But yes, part of it being, the foundation that was laid from young, and just like watching again my mom and my godmom, and them being in service through church, and just like their personal things that they were doing within the communities. And then as I got to college and became a member of Delta Sigma Theta,
okay,
of course, I got it.
You listen,
shout that out.
I didn't. I left Clark too early to pledge, and it just was. It was never a desire of mine. I was just kind of.
It's not for everybody.
No, it's not. But the girls who go through it,
yes,
I do have a real respect, because I'm like, you gotta really want this.
Yes. It has to be in your heart, and
listen, it has to be, because
yes. And then for us, it's bigger than just the the collegiate experience, but a big component of it is obviously the community service and the social impact. And so through that, and
that I didn't know that was a big part then.
Yes.
I understand that more so now. I think if I would have understood that more then, maybe it would have drew me.
Would have changed your perspective, exactly.
Because your perspective is what you see on different worlds.
Yes.
Stepping.
Yeah, exactly. The glamour parts of it, but it's like you don't see the doing the work and being in the community and giving back. And then just like my own personal aspirations and other organizations that I'm either on the board for, or just involved in through volunteering. So through United Lose Foundation, Oliver Scholars, which is an amazing, incredible organization, as well as United Lose Foundation, which works with women who have
I donated a lot of clothes.
You donated clothes, whether they're domestic violence survivors, or just have been displaced. Homelessness is a huge issue right now across the world, right? And so it's just, whatever we can do. And I think that sometimes people feel like I have to be wealthy to give back, but you can give back in many different capacities, whether you're volunteering your time, just mentoring, or anything that you possibly can do. If you can just reach one person, you're able to change one life, then you've made an impact.
Yeah. And also too, it's like, for me, it's important, like with the clothes and stuff, to give to, because how you look helps to how you feel.
Yes, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
it's like, I don't want it to be sold. I want it to be given away, and I give away as much as I can, lots.
Yes,
because and good stuff.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
some great stuff.
I don't give. I give away the good stuff because. Why I want someone to have the good stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
These women who survive domestic violence, or who come home from prison and have to start over. It's, you don't want to feel you've been wearing the same color uniform for however long you've been in jail. You want to come home to something nice. For me, when I wear something that feels nice, that's pretty, that's a pretty color, it just makes me. It makes me, even if it makes me feel good for 5 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
So it's important for me. I mean, and I do give my time, and I don't have a lot of time to give, but for me, what I can do is give those clothes.
Yeah, but even when you were teaching your class, that's a a form of community service. Now, I know it
Listen.
wasn't just like fully free, but you know, it was a business, but at the
Exactly.
same time, you were going above and beyond. Like you didn't have to take me under your wing the way that you did,
and
right?
I also just want
And people you've helped along the way, like friends of mine, you know?
You are only as good as your resources, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And if you can't utilize your resources to help other people, then it's pointless. It's not a resource.
Exactly.
So when someone comes to me and asks me to do something or help them with something, and I know that I can, I'm going to give it to you in the highest level ever.
Yes.
So, you know, just even with, you know, film and television, it's important to me to really make sure that my team is diverse, because I know how it feels not to be chosen because I was Black. Or to be on a team that I'm the only Black person, and how uncomfortable I felt, or how uncomfortable, you know, situations that I was put into. So my thing is, like, if I could display what real diversity is, because people think you hire one Black person. I have a diverse crew. That's not a diverse crew.
Exactly.
I hire everyone who does, and I look at it like, it don't matter. I don't want to know what you are.
Yes.
I just want to hire someone who has experience.
Yeah.
And if you don't
and
have
just different worldly
yeah.
experiences, because that's what diversity is about. It's about having different perspectives, coming from different backgrounds, different ethnicity, sex, religion, all those things.
And I like talking to everyone, because then it just gives you a different, like, oh, okay, now I understand why. Well, that's how she was raised, so now I get it. And just even, like, you know, being around other people who, like, they're like, oh, this is teaching me different, you know, just different things from their culture. It just gives me more of an understanding of, like, oh, okay. And it allows me to be a little more empathetic or sympathetic to people, and when I feel like I'm being offended, you know? So it's important for me. So I guess, I mean, I cannot wait till I have the time to really, like, you know, but I feel like this is kind of giving back too, because it's me sharing,
it's using your platform to
and sharing my testimony.
Absolutely.
Like, these are the things that I've been through. This is what it caused. If I would have did this, it probably would have been different. So please do different.
Yes.
That part, right?
Absolutely.
We can have heaven on earth. You just got to believe that for real.
Absolutely.
All right?
Yes.
Because I'm like, open up. I'm ready. Okay? Thank you. So I usually ask, what's your biggest win or your biggest loss, and there's no timeline.
Okay.
I want to ask you that. I'm going to ask you that.
Okay.
But I also want to ask you, what would you do if you couldn't fail?
Ooh, retire tomorrow.
Listen,
if I couldn't fail,
and
like, if I could go on with life, living my life the way that I like to live it.
The next question: if you retire, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
You know, it's just the freedom of choosing how I want to spend my time and do whatever I want to do when I want to do it.
My mother makes retirement look like, okay.
Listen,
I'm like, girl, I cannot wait.
No, I mean, the thing is, like, we are in a capitalist society, right? And I think about, again, going back to, like, you know, my mom, and I wouldn't have expected my mom to pass away at 60, and I'm now about to be 44, right? Like, that's not that far away.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, we have this culture of, like, you work. And then when you retire, you can just, like, enjoy the fruits of your labor. And so I'm going to enjoy it now. I enjoy it during. I will enjoy it more when I have more freedom and more my own time. And even just being in business, and again, going back to entrepreneurship, like, you know, people think, like, oh, you know, I work for myself and, you know, I can manage my time. Yes, you have more flexibility, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have more free time. You just can kind of choose how you want to work and the way you want to work. But, like, truly being able to, like, not have to be, like, on the grinds. Like, I think just being able to have that mental capacities to just be able to breathe, relax, and travel, you know, do whatever. That's what I would love to do if I could not fail. Like, if I could do that and live the way I
exactly. Good. That's
tomorrow.
A good one. That's a good one.
Sign on a dotted line.
That is a good one. That is a good one. I think I have a little more time to go. I would love to retire, but I got a few things, like, there's some things in the pot that are boiling, and I'm like, all right, fine.
But it was a passion project. I would still do passion projects. Again, just things that I wanted wholeheartedly just to do, just because I enjoy them, and not so much that I'm doing it because I want to, you know, make money or any of the other things. Like, yeah.
I say, if I couldn't fail, and I have so many things. If I couldn't fail, right, I would. So I come from a skiing family. If I couldn't fail, I would go on the back bowls with my sister.
Which is so surprising to me, but that's crazy.
You know why?
I love that.
We went to Vail for the 50th anniversary of the Black skiers, right? And it was just seas of Black folks, real skiers. And there was a woman who was in her 70s, cute, okay? Cute little thing, matching boots, everything, fabulous. She's skiing by herself because the boys can't keep up with her. My sister is also like an expert skier. She says she's not.
Really?
She jumped out of a helicopter to ski on top of a mountain that's not a ski slope. She says she's not, but she is. And my mom doesn't ski anymore because she moved. Where she lives now is warm, and she doesn't do the cold anymore.
Yes.
But I come from a skiing family. But when we went, my sister went, and she left me because she did take me down one time. And girl, I'm glad I got to the bottom. I've
never been skiing.
Being on the ski slope is one of the most beautiful things.
It looks amazing.
Ever.
I'm just not I'm not very adventurous.
It's not an adventure. It's elegant.
I don't know.
No, I'm telling you. There's people who, because you see all the fast stuff.
Yes.
But I watched my sister go out with this older group of people from our ski club. I think Fred might be, and I'm not going to even say how old he might be, maybe 65. But they weren't my age. They were all 50 and older.
Wow.
These people that my sister was skiing with.
Seasoned.
And, like skiers. And they were out and they just were all just skiing. And it was so pretty. And then just being on the mountain, the warmth you feel is just so beautiful. It's next level.
Wow.
And when she came back with the videos, I felt like the kid that was like, the one in the window who can't come outside because your mother don't let you go outside. Like, I can't come out. My mom said I can't come outside. That's how I felt. If I could ski, and she skis, so it's called, I think it's the back bowls.
Okay. This is in Colorado.
Yeah. So, but she skis all over the place.
Okay.
All over the world. It's not a path. Like, you're kind of like in real nature in the snow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was so beautiful. Like, just next level. Like,
I want to see the video.
Beautiful. And then just watching all these older Black folks skiing and just taking off. Gone. She took me down that one time. Girl, I saw all kind of lights. I'm glad I'm glad
that would have been me. See, that
I didn't break anything, but it was such a feeling of accomplishment to get down. And I've always skied East Coast. I've never skied West Coast, which I've learned is two totally types of
the altitudes and everything.
Girl, the snow is different.
Yeah.
I was a turtle. I came down on my back. I got frustrated. I took the skis off. I came down a few times in my ski boots. Like, by the time I got down to the bottom, I was soaking wet. My underlayer was soaking wet. But I got my butt right back on that gondola, took it right back up to the top. I went back to my little bunny slope. I said, I'm gonna stay over here, Lauren.
Yeah.
But if I couldn't fail, like,
yes, that's what you would do. That.
Yeah. I'll be skiing with my sister in
that's awesome. So different.
Or jumping off of a yacht because I'm not a very strong swimmer.
Yeah, me either. See, I don't do that either.
But those are things, if I couldn't fail with that, I would be jumping off every boat. Bye! Okay? I'm going to get there.
Yeah, I try. I just, because I'm not a strong swimmer. I enjoy my life. I try. I'm very risk adverse, like, so I'm not adventurous. Like, when I travel, and I've done things, so I can just say, okay, I check that off the bucket list. I've done it, and I'm never doing that again. But yeah, I would also try. I guess if I couldn't fail, I would try to open up to do more things, knowing that again it would be successful. Like,
knowing that I didn't hurt myself, but you can't, like, it takes years of experience.
Absolutely. Practice makes perfect.
To go out. But if I could do that, like, we could go get on a plane tomorrow, go to Vail tomorrow, and I could just go with her there and ski with her.
Yeah.
Oh, and not fail, I would be gone. Bye. Come on, Lauren, let's go. Immediately, real quick. No doubt about that. So what do you feel like is your biggest win, your biggest loss? And there's no timeline.
Ooh. That's hard. I guess my biggest win, I would just say, is getting to this place and this space of just like being confident in who I am. And a reason that I don't really get into, like, I don't talk much about what I do, or, naturally there are things that work pulls me into where I'm forced to, but because I don't think that those things define me. Like, all the fancy titles and the things that I've accomplished are great and a blessing, and I'm truly grateful to God. But I think just being comfortable with just me and who I am. And I look back at, like I said, my life and all the different directions of where I could have gone. To me, that's like my biggest win, is just, being able to stay the course and everything that I've done to this point, and building myself up and my relationship with God, my family and friends, and the people that I have in my circle. Those are the things that I think really make me who I am. And to me, that's what keeps me winning in life.
And all the other things are just the sparkles,
exactly.
And the sprinkles.
Yes, absolutely. Just
the sequence, and the tinsel. Because
always love everything sparkly and shiny. They say leave a little glitter wherever you go. So.
There you go. There you go.
And losses, losing my parents. So far in my life, those were definitely the biggest losses that I've had to endure thus far, and navigating, this world of, all the turning points and things that happened in my life without them, getting married and my parents not being there, or when I think about if, I am up there in age, but if it happens.
My friend just had a baby.
I know. There are plenty of those successes. Yes.
And her daughter is so cute. And I say to her all the time, I'm like, girl, like I have another friend too who had if it's in the cards for you, it's in the cards. Because
absolutely.
My period still comes full blown. Okay. Takes me out.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
if
we're
it's in the cards,
exploring all the things. But I say all that to say, again, it's just like, if that happens, right, it's like you always imagine that moment and what it would be, especially like you want to see the joy on your parents' face and, to give them a grandchild. So, those things are definitely, it impacts me differently. And so that I would say those are the biggest losses that I've had in life.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah. Everything else is, again, when it comes down to like life and death, I feel like everything else in between is like, it's fixable, it's solvable. You can bounce back from anything else. So, I don't look at things that have happened, like maybe not in my favor so much as a loss. It just means that it was a redirection for me. But losing people that you love, is a loss. Like that's something that you can't find anything to fill that void. Exactly. Yeah.
Please share your Instagram. And we're gonna do a church tour.
Yes.
When we do our church tour, we
have to document that.
We are gonna document that for sure. So stay tuned for our church tour, because we want to go. We watch all now that you have access to all these different churches on YouTube. I want to go and feel. I want to go and be in the
space. Absolutely.
Like I want to see Dr. Darius Daniels because he gets fly.
Yeah.
I want to see Mike Todd get fly. I want to see like all, and they all get not to say that getting fly is why.
No, but it's just I mean it moves you, and so it's like it's different from watching online.
When you get a gift, you want it in wrapping paper. You don't want it just in a plain old box. They wrapped and they make me follow, and I love it.
Exactly.
So, share your Instagram. Shout out whoever you want to shout out. Shout out to you for being so fabulous.
Oh, well, thank you. And shout out to you. Thank you for having me. So my Instagram is i.am.najr. I am Najr. A lot of on my Instagram is just like fashion, things that I just personally enjoy,
fabulous
love,
fashion.
Looks, lifestyle, travel, me and my husband and my dog. And shout out to my husband, shout out to my amazing friends, my glam squad, and shout out to you, Mia. Shout out to all the incredible things that you're doing. And again, thank you for having me.
Thank you. I hope everyone enjoyed. Click like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.
Bye.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Mia Quinn Maddox, and this is New and In Between.